On the menu today,
Do you wish to enter this system? Insert the magic disc. Follow these instructions.
Welcome.
no, I promise they're not real dogs, they're just animated. Oh, hello Chef Dippers, welcome to Retro Recipes. And with the imminent release of Far Cry 6, I thought it was about time that I revealed to you some of the incredible secrets that I've discovered playing one of the best games ever made. No, not Spy vs. Spy. In this case, we're talking about Far Cry 3. We're going to be breaching walls, breaking through code, glitching, and looking at some funny moments. Now, you might be thinking, well, excuse me, Mr. Perryfractic, I demand an immediate refund. This is meant to be a retro channel. And that's fine, just send me all your bank details and your mother's maiden name and I'll refund you. But it's not really that big a stretch because, although I do sometimes go off menu anyway, Far Cry 3 is nearly a decade old. And it's a game that I still play today, albeit in its remastered PS4 form. And I am a bit of an island maniac, I have to admit. I love palm trees and sand, and that's why I moved to California. And the tropical open world of Far Cry 3 is truly beautiful. I've played through the whole game about 3 times, and once you finish, you get to just roam free. And it is wonderful to go and just sit on a sunny beach, watch the sunset, and forget all your worries. You don't have any worries, do you? Worries in my case, though, like, what is retro? You see, I saw a social media post recently that got me thinking about that. And it is true, you know, someone who played this or other games when they were 7 would be an adult now, and those games might be the epitome of nostalgic retro gaming to them, like, for example, Ghostbusters is to me on the Commodore 64. And Far Cry 1 looks even more vintage, and according to retro gaming Facebook groups like Retro Bits and Bobs, it is from the early 2000s, 2004 to be precise. So even it is considered retro now. So it really does seem, doesn't it, that the goalposts of what retro means are expanding every year that passes. Will Windows 7 seem retro and nostalgic to someone? Perhaps if they first installed it on a computer with their dad or something. Will Windows 11 seem nostalgic and retro in the future, if you can ever find a PC capable of running it, that is? Hasn't needed an update in 35 years. I think we're all keeping up with Commodore, aren't we? Either way, let me know what you think retro means. And with that said, let's just jump straight in to the breaching, glitching, and those funny moments. Naughty dog. But I'm also going to be a bit naughty here in Thurston Town. This compound is a bit unusual in that many of the game's mechanics don't really work here. You can't shoot, for example, but I became pretty fascinated by the block of flats here.
Don't you mean apartments? They're not flat.
Well, I guess she's got a point. But I got to thinking, what's inside the flat apartments? The game doesn't really want you to know. You can't open any of the doors or jump up a floor. It may not even be coded inside. But I couldn't let that stop me. So like a velociraptor, I systematically checked for weaknesses to breach the walls. And I've found this shed, which has given me an idea. And you won't believe what we're about to see. Whoop. Well, the floor just gave way and we're inside. Not only hasn't that floor been coded that we fell through, but neither has any of the inside. Look at this. And it turns out Ladyfractic was wrong for once. The flats are flat. In fact, they're invisible.
You're invisible to me.
So for some reason, we can now see outside for miles, and it's also made the hills invisible, while the trees just appear to float in nothingness. Well, either way, mission accomplished. I only hope all the residents get their security deposits back. But I promised you some fun moments, and hear that clunk? Let's go outside and see what made that sound. And it turns out my boat has respawned on top of my boat. Yeah, as we all know, two objects can't occupy the same space. That applies in reality as well as in computer games. So we end up with some boat-on-boat action. Water palaver. More of that fun stuff in a moment, with a seamless segue from sand to silicone, because if you need PCBs for a modern or retro project, we recommend PCBWay! They make great quality PCBs starting at just $5, because as we all know, PCB stands for Pirates Combing Beaches. Ah, yes, it does. Now, after I'd completed the game for the third time and collected every single item across both islands, I realized, well, there were actually a couple of loot boxes left to collect, like this one.
Oh no.
Don't worry, she loves cozy areas. It was only in there a couple of seconds, but I mean like this loot box. It's permanently locked away in this building, because I'd missed it during the sequence of the game where that building temporarily opened up and you played through it. There's now no way to get back to it without starting the entire game over for a fourth time. I don't really want to do that. But I thought about these holes near the roof, but some conveniently strong gusts of wind actually prevent you from skydiving down onto the roof or anywhere near the island. It seems intentionally impossible to get there, but that just won't do. And I realized that there might be a way to get into the building through that crack. Not really the type of crack we're used to in gaming, but anyway. Problem is, the entire area that crack is in is off limits. The surrounding wall is just too high to jump, and again, probably hasn't been playtested and coded properly inside. But what if I could get something to stand on to give me added height to jump over the wall? Well, in the game, you can't pick up large objects to place them under the wall, but you can drive cars. Could a car actually give me the height I need for some wall breaching? But there's no cars on this tiny island. So then I thought, and hear me out here, what if I balance a car on a boat, as you do, sail the boat to the island, drive the car off the boat to the wall, then jump on the car to breach over the wall into the forbidden area? It's a huge long shot, isn't it? Oh, I love this. After 3 days of trying, we are in the Forbidden Zone. This is so cool. I was wondering if I could skydive off this tower onto the roof of the building that we need, but there's no way up the tower. But there's the crack that we may be able to jump through. I'll just check this door. No, everything else is closed off, so the crack is the only way. Ah, poodoo! Because this whole section wasn't play tested, I've essentially fallen through a hole in the code that you just can't get out of. Nice view though. And I kept trying to no avail. There's just no way to get through that particular hole. But I'm not going to give up. Let's try breaching these holes in the wall using the wingsuit. And there we go. After a number of attempts, I found the perfect pixel, and we're in. I'm surprised to see these baddies spawning here, or perhaps they were always here, and I've rescued them by killing them. Either way, unlike in the cutscene where I played through this building, it's now empty, which is a bit weird, apart from that loot box. Got it. Can't believe it. And you can use the vehicle technique in other places that you're not meant to be too, like this big shed containing some very lonely chickens.
You have big sheds that nobody's allowed in, and inside these big sheds are 20-foot high chickens because of all the chemicals you've put in them, and these chickens are scared.
Only once you're in, there's no way out without reloading, so make sure you've saved first. Yeah, I should have told you that at the start. More breaching and glitching in a moment, but first a caption contest. Oh dear. What about this one? Comment below. Now, not really a glitch or a breach, this one, but I wanted to get onto the roof of Dr. Earnhardt's mansion to see if what's obviously meant to look like a phone line could also be zip-lined down. Just helping him get his steps in. He'll be fine. He's just having a cat nap. Now, I mentioned 2 loot boxes left, and the other is locked away in the temple, again closed to access now. Let's see if we can breach the roof. And after a lot of trying, there it is. We can just jump down here. Oh, poodoo. I've heard of glass ceilings, but that's ridiculous. Well, let me know if you know how to get in there, because that one at least has me stumped. Honestly, Marvin's half the man he used to be.
Seems fine.
I know. He'll be okay. I mean, he's dead, but he's alive. It's confusing. Well, either way, I think that is probably enough pirate treasures for one day. Tell me in the comments, do you think this game is retro? Or is it a far cry from that? Sorry. Well, thanks for watching. Subscribe and support below, and cheerio.
Goodbye.